there's still places we haven't gone, and I'd like to hear about January 6th as well, because there's a huge story there that we haven't even delved into. So is it reasonable to leap to that?
Pretty much.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Our house, motherfuckers! Our house!
Hey, what's up? The point of this video is because the woman you just saw, Dr. Simone Gold, is a liar. She's a lying woman. She recently went on an interview with Dr. Jordan Peterson, kind of talking about what happened on January 6th, and pretty much every claim that she makes in that video is a fucking lie. So I've recorded absolutely everything that she said, all the false claims she's made, gone through, collected the video footage, the Jan 6th committee and stuff. So just do me a favor, hang around. If you're interested in the Jan 6 stuff, this will probably be interesting to you. And if you support them in absolutely any way, just watch this video and you won't by the end.
So I was there on the Capitol, basically ready to give a speech. So I said, well, I'm speaking. And so I scampered up to the top of the steps and I started speaking.
This is the first thing she says about her actual involvement at the Capitol that day, and she's trying to sneak in something that she doesn't want you to realize.
On the Capitol, basically.
Check out this cool map of the US Capitol area. The area she's describing at this point in time is the steps to the East Rotunda, which you can see here. This here is where the Capitol was already restricted. She snuck in the fact that she already trespassed onto Capitol property and crossed past toppled police barricades to get there. I missed it on the first watch through too, but that's because she's doing it on purpose. She's trying to make you not notice that she's already confessed to breaking onto federal property, so you're more accepting of what she says later. We can see footage of Dr. Gold outside the East Rotunda doors at approximately 2:27 p.m. with her bodyguard John Strand. And oh, check this out, a police officer is crushed around the corner right in front of her. Remember this because it becomes relevant a little bit later, but remember for right now, they just saw an officer get knocked unconscious and thrown to the ground in front of them. Regardless, Dr. Gold is here intentionally. John Strand said in another interview that,
well, it wasn't that easy to get in. As you can see, there are a ton of people just in this small limited shot, but the greater context of the day, there were 1 million people wandering around in that city. So there were tens of thousands just in this little area. The congestion was crazy. I mean, it was not easy to get in the building necessarily.
So they pushed their way to the front of the crowd, which is packed like this at 2:06 p.m. by the way. And who helped her that day? Who helped her get to the front of the crowd? Well, no other than the Oath Keepers, members of the white supremacist militia group who were there to overthrow the US Capitol. Specifically Ken Harrelson, but we're not even onto that yet. Make no mistake, this woman is at the front lines of the group trying to break into the building from the east side.
And all of a sudden, the doors opened from the inside. And I was swept into the building. Because you can actually see on the video that I kind of tumble and I almost fall into the building.
And she does almost tumble and fall on her way in. She's not lying. In fact, she almost bumps directly into a cop and keeps walking. This is because there are thousands of people trying to squeeze through a tiny doorway that was just thrown open. But notice how she's trying to frame it. I didn't know what was happening. I found myself in the Capitol. This is how they maliciously and intentionally lie to you. She is at the front of a violent mob that she's just seen knock out and throw a police officer to the ground, and she's still trying to pretend that she had no idea what was going on. She's trying to pretend that she didn't even know it was...
It's hard to remember what life was like before J6, but we have a long history in our nation of political protests. Now, when conservatives landed in the Capitol, standing there, everywhere I was very peaceful, completely peaceful. As an eyewitness, on the east side of the Capitol, no violence, kumbaya, literally grandmas singing kumbaya, moms with strollers.
Dr. Gold is trying to uphold the lie that January 6th was a peaceful event. And of course it wasn't. Over 140 police officers were injured and 15 were hospitalized. And she saw violence. Remember that Chekhov's gun from 15 seconds ago where she saw a police officer get knocked out and thrown to the ground? And she watched the crowd fight past 5 police officers to get inside? Here's another angle of that, by the way. Look, there they are. But what was that explosion just then? Well, I thought it was tear gas, which would make sense because Strand confirmed in another interview they'd already been tear gassed by this point. But other documents say it was a flashbang. Well, I don't know. I've never been flashbanged, so I don't know exactly what that would be like. Maybe instead he got caught by the residue of the police officer who got pepper sprayed 3 feet from him. Bear in mind, at this same time, 2:28 p.m., this is happening simultaneously.
Stop hitting him!
But hey, maybe what she actually meant is nobody's attacking any police officers right in front of me at this exact moment right now, ignoring all the violence I just saw. In which case, yeah, maybe that does make sense.
I find myself in the rotunda. It's beautiful. And I'm walking between the ropes, and I'm looking up here because it turns out there was video everywhere. I didn't know. And you can see me walking peacefully in between the ropes, looking around, and I've got my speech in my hand. And I think to myself, it is a fine idea that I should give my speech because this is a political day and let's give a speech.
Okay, again, she's not exactly telling the whole truth. The first time she enters, she walks through the rotunda and goes to deliver her first speech in the Statuary Hall, where she... Oh, wait a second, where's she going? Turns out she doesn't give her speech until 25 minutes later. And to give some frame of reference, this is what's going on around the Capitol this time. And this. And this.
Drag him out by the fucking hair! Yeah! Where are the fucking traitors? Come on, who's first?
She then finally returns to give her speech, which leads us to...
And then an officer taps me on my shoulder and says I have to move along. And I'm startled, I look at him, and then I move along. And then I exit the building. And that was my sojourn into the Capitol on January 6th, 2021.
If you haven't caught it by now, she's lying. But just in case you haven't, pay attention to the story she's trying to tell. I showed up, I was a little bit confused, wandered around, gave my speech on freedom that I was entitled to give, I had a permit to give, and then left. She wants you to think she's just there to peacefully protest, that she had no desire to break the law. Now, we know she's already seen a lot of illegal shit going down, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's there to do it herself. She delivers her first speech inside the Capitol, inside of the Statuary Room at approximately 2:53 p.m. What's her speech on? Well, luckily nothing insidious, just medical freedom.
But my lane was to speak about medical freedom. I had a prepared medical freedom speech that I did the day before, no problem.
She's fucking lying! Check out this excerpt from the Medical Board of California that reports her speech wasn't on medicine or health policy. She told the crowd, we must do something, and asked the audience, why are you here? She said she wanted the crowd to do something because the election occurred without a transparent and honest result. She wanted to rile up the crowd so they would do something. And she didn't just move along when asked. Officers are clearly shepherding people along, and they clearly indicate for her to not give her speech and keep moving. After that, the officers communicate for her to move along, not once, not twice, but 3 times before she finally stops, and she argues with them, and does a dramatic, self-righteous, full-body slump when she's finally physically pushed to keep moving. So she walks back to the rotunda again, where she... Wait, hold on a second. Let's take a look around the Capitol building and see what's going on. Let's see if it's actually...
Grandma's singing Kumbaya.
Oh, exciting, right? Now she gets up on one of the statues and gives her speech again. Again, this is despite having received confirmation from the social media manager the event was cancelled. This is despite the fact that police have already told her to move along. This time, she delivers it with a megaphone given to her by a random member of the crowd for about 5 minutes, stirring up protesters, telling them to do something. And then, finally, after almost an hour of having participated in a riot, they leave. The day after, her bodyguard, John Strand, sends out a tweet. I am incredibly proud to be a patriot today, to stand up tall in defense of liberty and the Constitution, to support Trump and hashtag MAGA forever, and to send the message, we are never conceding a stolen election. So, let's do a quick recap. They said they were shoved into the Capitol, admitting the fact they were already escorted onto restricted federal property with the help of a white supremacist militiaman named Ken Harrelson and pushed their way to the front of a rioting crowd right next to the doors. They said they didn't think it was violent, despite the fact that they saw a police officer get knocked out 3 feet from them, get pepper sprayed 3 feet from them, and they got pepper sprayed themselves. They claim they didn't do anything other than walk around and give her speech, which she had a permit to give, despite the fact that she knew her permit had been revoked, despite the fact that she knew she was involved in a break-in to the US Capitol building, and the fact that she gave a speech to rioters telling them they had to do something because the election had been stolen from them. These fucking worms will try to downplay and lie and squirm their way out of taking accountability for what they did on that day, what they did on January 6th, which was knowingly participate in a riot to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. Hey, speaking of, let's get a few more fun facts about our favorite power couple. Dr. Gold and John Strand were helped through the crowd by Oathkeeper 41-year-old Kenneth Harrelson. The Oathkeepers were in DC that day to use any means necessary up to and including the use of force to oppose the transfer of power. Kenneth Harrelson was one of their leading organizers. Dr. Gold pretends for half a fucking second that she had no idea that Kenneth Harrelson was an Oathkeeper.
You know who was guarding you that day? I'm like, who? She was, those were Oathkeepers. Oathkeepers? Are you serious? They were Oathkeepers?
And I mean, good on her. I mean, it's possible, I guess, to miss the fact they were wearing all those logos, insignia, and military wear. But, I mean, she said she would testify against them immediately, which is great. Only, wait, hold on. She then goes on to defend their presence that day and promote a lie, saying they were just there to, be a security detail?
Because the government did not want the jury to know that they were actually really there doing actual security, volunteer security details for individuals like yourself.
But they did safely deliver us. So
That's
they
correct.
did their job.
Correct.
I mean,
they did their
thank God
job.
for the
That was the reason.
They went there with an organized plan to attack the Capitol. Anyway, she says she took the plea deal because she was afraid of losing the ability to run her non-profit anti-vax organization. This same organization is currently suing her for using the charity's money to buy a $3.6 million home in Florida, buying a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, a Hyundai Genesis, a GMC Denali, buying $50,000 worth of personal goods a month, taking private flights valued at over $100,000, hiring a personal housekeeper for $5,600 a month, paying John Strand $10,000 a month to act as her employee, plus an additional $15,000 to $17,000 a month on top on the company credit card. She also knew she was on the FBI's most wanted list. She'd been already told by friends and family.
And I'm sitting at dinner and I get a message on my phone, and there's a picture of me on the FBI's most wanted list with my picture.
That's a
night.
problem.
But chose to ignore it for 12 days. 12 fucking days while she flew between states. When the FBI finally arrived at her home to arrest her, well...
And then 12 days later, I'm in my apartment working, and the most horrific, loudest, I can't do it justice, scream banging on the door, FBI, 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 so loud that I immediately thought, well, that can't possibly be the FBI.
So she knows she's wanted. She knows she's evading arrest. And somehow she is shocked, surprised, and cannot believe the FBI are at her house to arrest her. It's absurd and an obvious lie, but they're trying to bullshit you. They're trying to act like they're so fucking brain-dead retarded that you don't realize how much they're fucking lying to you. How much sense their story doesn't make. Whew. Okay, well, I'm tapped out. That was a lot of intentional misrepresentations and lies, but at least we finally gotten to the bottom of it. She just can't fucking help herself. Last bit, I promise. After everything, after lying about what they did, what they saw, what they said, why they were there, they have to lie about the court case too.
Somebody 20 years ago came up with this 1512C2 statute, which is witness tampering and evidence shredding. That is what they charged me and hundreds of J6ers with. You might ask why, because it's wholly irrelevant, has nothing to do with us.
She's saying this to try to trick you into thinking they're charging her with something she didn't do. But she's a lawyer, and she had legal counsel, so she knows exactly what the charge is. Whoever corruptly alters, destroys, mutilates, or conceals a record, document, or other object, or attempts to do so with the intent to impair the object's integrity or availability for use in an official proceeding. Wait, okay, she obviously didn't do that. Wait, hold on, there's more. Otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding. Otherwise means other than the things mentioned above, which she did. The certification of the election was delayed until 4 fucking a.m. She's pretending they were accusing her of shredding documents to lie to you. She never once says what the charge actually describes. She's just saying, well, look at the name. Look at the name. Isn't that odd? Isn't that strange?
Now, exactly how many misdemeanors do you find going to prison? Low number. That zero number that you like.
Yeah.
No misdemeanors in America go to prison.
And she's lying again. DC can punish misdemeanors with up to a year in jail. Simple assault up to 180 days. Disorderly conduct up to 180 days. Animal cruelty up to 180 days in jail. J6 consistently delivered sentences below the sentencing guidelines. They're trying to trick you into thinking they were unfairly targeted because you don't know anything about DC law. It's just another fucking lie. She even tries to use the fact they were being sued in DC courts to imply they were being given a sham trial.
All J6 defendants were being tried in the District of Columbia.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody, that was intentional.
Uh-huh.
And none of us are from the District of Columbia.
Yeah.
And the District of Columbia voted 96% for Biden.
But in case you don't know, the Capitol building is in the District of Columbia. That is where the crime occurred. She's trying to pretend she was being politically targeted because she was being charged in the state where she broke the law. It's just fucking insane. She makes another few claims here, like saying that her judge dated her in college, or maybe he just asked her out and she said no. But they're unverifiable. And honestly, at this point, if you believe what she's saying at face value, after everything we can verify, her saying, was a lie, then you're a sucker. If nothing else, you should come away from this realizing that Dr. Simone Gold and John Strand are lying to you about what happened on January 6th. They're doing it on purpose. It's malicious. Over the course of the Jordan Peterson interview, she lies and spins the truth and misleads you at every opportunity she gets to try to lie and squirm her way out of taking accountability. You should come away from this seeing how easy it is for one person to spin a false narrative when they're not getting any fucking pushback, especially when they've got someone like Jordan Peterson lending them endless credibility. These people are liars. They revel in you taking their fucking made-up bullshit seriously. If you interrogate any of these fucking Jan 6s, anyone who was there on the day who says it was peaceful, if you interrogate their story for 5 fucking minutes, it's easy. It falls apart. They're liars. They're fucking liars. Do me a favor and subscribe. And if you think my takes are absolutely dog shit, my comments, my DMs are always open. And if you want to talk about any of this, I will talk to you about it. I will talk to you about it on video, live, and fucking... Do you live next to like a fucking hospital or something?